This is Andrew Clendenin with the World of Texas Music. Today's podcast will feature J.M. Stevens. We'll be producing this podcast in Austin, Texas, the live music capital of the world and the capital city of the state of Texas. J.M. Stevens is quite an interesting guy. You often hear about people like him, but you don't get a chance to meet them. He's a great producer, great engineer, great singer, songwriter, owns his own studio, which is EAR Studio, E-A-R, East Austin Recording in Austin, Texas. Before we start our chat with James, I'd like to play a track of his new album, Invisible Lines.
Tried to fake it, but it turned around and blew up in my face. I tried to break it, but the pieces kept falling back into place. Conversation in my head of how I didn't sign up for this. Restoration of my crumbling cities revived with her kiss. Can't get her off my mind, but it's just too soon to run to Naomi's arms again. Yeah, it's just too soon to run to Naomi's arms. Porous border into natural ball, or at least you're far. Shuffle the order. It was the perfect crime till you got caught. Embrace the fallout that coats everything in the finest mist. It's always about all the little things so hard to resist. I won't hurt you now, but it's just too soon to run to Naomi's arms again. Yeah, it's just too soon to run to Naomi's arms. I got to be near you. I don't want to fear you, but you see right through my thin disguise. Yeah, it's just too soon to run to Naomi's arms again. Yeah, it's just too soon to run to Naomi's arms. Oh, it's just too soon to run to Naomi's arms again. Yeah, it's just too soon to run to Naomi's arms.
James, welcome to the World of Texas Music. Glad to have you on our podcast. Invisible Lines, the title of your new album. Tell us about it.
Man, that's a tough one right off the bat. I wrote that song. Actually, I just started dating this new girl, and she lived on the other side of town, and I just, I don't know. It was like, it reminded me of like things that divide you and that get in the way, and but I wanted to remove them. I don't know. That's a tough one right off the bat. I just thought it sounded cool.
You want to remove the girl or the...
No, the lines.
The lines.
Things that divide us. But they're there, but they don't have to be.
So you roll that around in your mind, you thought that'd be a good title.
Yeah. Obviously, I had about 100,000 titles written down, and I always like the idea of having a title track. It seems kind of cool and old school.
Sure.
That was the last one I thought of, and I was like, wait a minute, I kind of like that. And it looks cool because all the letters are,
That's great.
long.
I love it. Invisible lines.
Yeah. And then I thought, wait, does this sound too much like those braces? Was it Invisalign? So I thought about that, and then I was like, well, everything sounds like something. So.
Sure.
Yeah.
It's a great title. And tour plans coming up.
I'm working on doing a UK tour, hopefully.
That's great.
In September. I'm still getting all this together, I got a meeting with a guy on the phone tomorrow, Skype, over there.
It'll be just you, or?
I'm just doing solo.
Okay.
To start, because that's less money than not solo. So, and I'm also going to do probably a southeastern tour from here to Nashville-ish.
Solo again?
Yes.
By yourself? Why would you want to go solo other than the money? You would just want to be out there by yourself?
I'd love to take a band, which I will do soon,
Okay.
but I'm just trying to do what's possible right now, I feel like I can just really focus on what I'm doing and not worrying about everybody else, but,
Travel light.
travel light in my Prius.
You were in a band for a long time called the Moonlight Towers in Austin.
Yeah.
And then recently you've gone solo. Tell us a little bit about why that happened and what your idea was for that.
That band started, and we put out our first record in 2001, which started as me in my bedroom. I'd gotten a little digital 8-track recorder and sat in there for maybe a year and just recorded all the instruments myself, learned that little recorder. Just practiced, just trying to get my writing. I'd been in bands my whole life, and then I decided I was going to just focus on songwriting and get away from the band thing for a bit. And then that ended up turning into a band.
Great.
and we put our first record out. I mean, I really had no idea what I was doing, but it got a really great review in the Austin Chronicle, and I was kind of surprised because I don't even remember giving it to them to review in the first place, but so then we started, they started filling up shows and everything.
Success was coming.
Started doing really well with the band, and we did some tours that I can barely remember, and ended up making 5 albums with that band over the years. I was writing most of the songs. We had the drummer, Richard, he's from my hometown in Mississippi, West Point, and other guys, Jacob, the guitar player's from Shreveport, but he lived here. I'd seen him in bands around Austin for a long time. I liked his thing. And, so we, I just felt like it kind of went where it was going to go. I mean, everybody's path started going in different directions,
Right.
which is great.
Sure.
Like Richard became a school teacher, and Jacob got a job repairing electron microscopes and doing all these cool things. And I just felt like I had to look out for what I was going to do. I can't really do anything else. So I was like, I'm either washing dishes or doing music at this point in my life. So I just, we put out our last record in 2014. It's a cool record. Heartbeat Overdrive, it's called. And the divorce record.
The divorce record.
Yeah.
Okay.
And, we did some touring on that and made a couple of videos maybe. Press was good on the album, all that stuff. But I just didn't feel there was any momentum.
So the time was right. And you
So I just...
to move on.
I just started writing a lot. I felt kind of free to do what I wanted. So I bought a new acoustic. It's kind of the thing. I was like, okay, I generally work backwards. Like I'll blow a bunch of money on something, and then so I'll have to, be forced to make it work.
So you bought a new acoustic guitar.
Yes.
And
I just decided I was just going to start doing solo shows just to really hone songs in, and because it's terrifying for me to do that. So I figured I might as well do it.
So it's terrifying for you to be the solo.
Well, I mean,
For a live
if you're
gig.
playing in a rock band, which I'd been doing forever, it's, you're on stage and there's people behind you and in front of you, and it's loud, and you're jumping around like a monkey. You can do whatever you want, but being that exposed as doing acoustic shows, it was something I haven't done a lot of.
But you were the front man.
Yes.
Okay. And for those that don't live in Austin, Texas, is there a meaning to that name of the band?
Moonlight Towers. Well, I think there's 13 of these structures in town that are still around.
Towers with lights on them?
Yeah, I mean, they're very industrial looking.
For security reasons, I presume, for the campus, University of Texas, is that?
Yeah, there was actually a serial killer in Austin in the late 1800s. This is some of the lore behind it. There was, called the Servant Girl Annihilator.
That's gruesome.
And some speculation that he moved on, and I think it moved on and it became Jack the Ripper. That's some of the story behind it. But they put up these light towers everywhere to kind of illuminate areas of town. And, people were freaking out that the plants were going to grow too big and take over, and just great stuff like that. But
it's a great name.
not that I'm condoning
murder. Of course.
It sounded cool.
It's a cool name.
And that means a lot. But
you mentioned growing up in Mississippi, and you mentioned the town West Point. Isn't that the home of Howlin' Wolf?
Yes. Which, growing up, I knew nothing about Howling Wolf. I heard, would hear about it. I knew the name, but it wasn't listened to in my house.
We'll get to some of that later.
Yeah.
I did some research, and the organization Howlin' Wolf Museum seems to be in existence. Have you been to that museum?
I have, but been a piece. Yeah. I'll probably go in there next time I'm down there.
Have you ever been to Graceland?
Yes. First time, maybe 5 years ago. That's in Memphis, obviously.
And I did some more research. West Point's about 100 miles from Memphis?
A little more, maybe more than that. 2 hours.
Okay. And Tupelo, Mississippi.
Yeah.
Have you been there?
Bunches. My mom lives in New Albany, which is very near Tupelo.
The birthplace of Elvis Presley.
Yes.
And I think you told me that you had a gig there.
Well, I played Tupelo many times, but yeah, we played a thing called, Moonlight Towers played a thing called Birthplace Sessions, which is a show that they film you playing on Elvis's childhood home front porch.
So you actually were on Elvis Presley's front porch performing?
Yes.
And is there a video of this?
There is. I assume it's on the YouTubes.
And what year was that?
Oh, that would probably have been 2015.
Did you get a vibe from that experience?
Oh, yeah.
Tell us about
There's
it.
pretty heavy mojo there.
Tell us
I don't
about
know. I mean, it's hard to explain. You're just there, and we'd been on tour, so, when you're on the road for a while, everything starts becoming a little surreal after about 10 days or so. And that was kind of at the tail end of it, and we did the Elvis thing. You could just feel the power of the king there. My mom was there, and there's a lot of stuff there with her, and it was cool to be there.
So growing up near the Mississippi Delta, how did that affect you as a person, and how did it affect your music?
Well, I'm not, Delta, you're talking a couple hours away, really, but there wasn't much to do where I grew up. It's flat, and you either played football or you went to church or you went to school, tried to stay out of trouble or get into trouble, it depends. But so I got into skateboarding, me and some buddies, when I was probably 12 or 13, and that kind of opened my eyes up to a lot of different types of music and things like that, It was somewhat of a repressed environment down there.
Repressed.
Yeah.
Well, it was going to jump out of you at some point, obviously.
Yeah, maybe.
What was your first memory of music?
A picture I have in my mind is like hearing Elvis. I can see it. There's like a 45 of Love Me Tender. Like, from my memory, I was hiding in a closet listening to Elvis on a record player, but that might not be the case. But
how old were you?
Maybe like 5, 6. Hearing John Lennon on the radio. I can remember when he died, hearing that on the radios, right in the station wagon with my mom. Things like that, remembering thinking that, what is that sound on his voice that's really cool, which was a double and a slapback. I remember liking it, So, yeah, I mean, I didn't really have a lot of music. I don't remember a stereo being in my house growing up. My mom played piano. My dad he always said he cut off even caring about music after, like, anything after Bo Diddley doesn't really matter. That's what he always said. He always told the story of where he got on stage with Bo Diddley at the Whispering Pines there. And
on stage, your dad was on stage.
Or Lowndes County, yeah.
On stage. Set it up? How did that happen?
Well, I don't know how much of it's lies or the truth. It really doesn't matter. It's a great story. I guess Bo Diddley did a show at Whispering Pines, and he got on stage and played maracas with him. That's what he says. It has been
very cool,
verified by some other people that said it happened. I don't know if he paid him off or not, but but he would always bring that up to me. It's like, no matter what I did, I played maracas with Bo Diddley. And like, okay, yeah, you got me.
Well, he's in a class by himself.
Yeah.
When did you play your first instrument?
Piano, 7 or 8.
So you sat down at the piano and played, or your mom?
No, I was forced to go to the lessons. Mm-hmm.
So you took piano lessons?
Yes.
How many years?
Maybe it's hard to say. Not very long. Not long enough. I should have stuck with it. But I heard, I really wanted to learn Hurts So Good by John Cougar on the guitar, so I switched to guitar. I remember. And much to the disappointment of my mother.
Was there a guitar in the house, or did you go out and buy one, or someone buy a guitar for you?
My dad was a lawyer down there, and his law partner gave me an Epiphone electric guitar, Hollaby, which I still have. And it's a silver tone amp, so I got those, maybe 8 or 9 years old. And that was pretty much it. I mean, maybe the next year, I can't keep up with how old people are and what grade, but in 2nd grade, I played Eye of the Tiger at the talent show.
Wow.
The guitar. It was bigger than I am. I got pictures of it somewhere. But, and I remember even at that being really bummed. The music teacher wanted to sing, and I did not like how she sounded on it. It was too, Eye of the Tiger. It wasn't rock and roll enough.
So you were producing even then?
Yeah. But, and that guitar, my brother and I hated that guitar. We wanted something more like a Flying V or a BC Rich Warlock, so we just abused that thing. And I think we threw it out the window one time, broke the neck off. And when I moved to Austin, in the 90s, I took it. It had just been a wall ornament for me, and I took it down to One World Guitars, which used to be above Continental Club. I was like, what is this? The neck was broken. I was like, what is this guitar? I'm thinking about getting it fixed. Is it worth it? And he looked at the serial number and said, dude, that's a 1961 Epiphone Sorrento. Yeah, you should get it.
You should keep it.
So I got it fixed up, and now I use it. It's a beautiful guitar.
How did you choose Austin rather than Memphis or Nashville?
It was a total whimsical decision, really. Well, I don't know. I mean, my brother had played here. He was in Blind Mellon. They had played here with Smashing Pumpkins. I was just getting out of high school. He had moved to L.A., and he got out as soon as he could. And I just knew I wanted to go somewhere. I was inspired by his choices. His bad life choices inspired me. And I thought about, he was just like, Austin's really cool. And I was like, all right, well, I'll go there. And
never having been to the city?
I'd never been here, no.
So your big brother led you to Austin, Texas? To
some degree. I'd gotten out of there's some darker reasons I came here, too, if you want me to go there.
Let's hear it.
Well, I mean, I was in a really bad accident when I was younger. And I got highly addicted to opiate-type drugs because I had to take them. I broke both femurs. I was in a lot of pain. And I knew that, I had friends that would used to drive to Mexico, and you could get narcotics like that legally. And so that was one, I knew that I could come here
And score.
And score down there. And we did it. I would go down there every few months. It's very sketchy.
So tell us.
That's another lifetime ago. That's a long time ago.
Sounds like it. Tell us a little bit more about the accident. It sounds like a pretty serious one. How old were you?
16. Pretty innocent kids, me and my buddy and a girlfriend of ours. We're, going to drive to Sonic to get slushies or something one afternoon. And we're in a pickup truck, like a Chevrolet pickup truck. And we're heading to the Sonic, and it's raining a bit. And there's a train track there that crosses by Bryan Foods, which is the slaughterhouse there in West Point. And there are trees grown up all the way to the track. You can't see the train coming. And, and this is going to sound made up, but it's not. We're listening to Stairway to Heaven on the cassette in the truck. We're listening to the Zeppelin song Remains the Same, the live record. And Stairway to Heaven was on. I do remember that vividly. And as we're approaching the track, I see the train. I knew that this train was going to hit us. It didn't blow the horn. I know that it didn't because the horn's very loud. And there were no crossing lights or anything at this track. And
no warning at all.
No warning. And you couldn't even see it until you were pretty close up on it. So it just pretty much ran right into my door, drug us way down the track there. And, I was trapped in the truck. I don't remember a lot of that. I remember thinking that I had gone on to another place, which I did in my mind, or whether I did or not, I don't know. But from there, they got me out. They had to bring the jaws of life and all that stuff out there and got me out. And then it was kind of a long road to recovery from there. I mean, I was in the hospital for a long time.
How long?
I think about a month on the first round, then I would get out, then I'd have to go back for different surgeries. The main injury was compound fracture, both femurs.
Bad.
Like legs were kind of going backwards, had to get some facial reconstruction stuff done. It was bad. Yeah.
Do you remember how long you were actually in the vehicle after it had been hit?
I would think at least maybe half an hour or something. There was a lot of screaming, a lot of blood.
And the other people in the truck were?
The guy driving got 2 stitches under his eye.
Oh, man.
The girl, she broke her arm, maybe both arms, collarbone. Yeah, I got the worst of it.
For sure.
Yeah.
There are other artists that I've studied that have had traumatic experiences when they're young, and it really did have a lot of impact on what was going to happen relative to their music. Do you feel that way from that accident?
Well, yeah, I mean, it changed my trajectory for sure. I just decided at that point that that's what I was going to do. I started dabbling in bands and things. Maybe I was 13, I had Zeppelin posters in a Marshall stack in my hospital room, if that tells you.
For decoration?
Yeah. I was in there for a while, So, I don't know. As cliche as it sounds, I guess it just made me realize how fleeting all this is, And 30 seconds before that, we were having the time of our lives.
Sure.
So
you had a lot of time to think about this and really maybe even to hang on to something.
Well,
music, that is.
As far as time goes, I mean, a lot of that time right after that accident is a real blur to me. I mean, I wanted to die.
Sure. You're in pain all the time.
Massive.
Yeah.
So I don't want that to happen again. I mean, I don't even want to go roller skating now, I don't like to do risky things like that. But.
Well, it's a very poignant story, but it certainly had an impact on your life, and that was the decision point for you in your life to follow music.
Sure. For better or worse.
Better or worse. You have a fascinating voice. Do you like the sound of your voice?
Good, no, of course not.
Why?
I can tolerate it, but I mean, I don't know. it's easy to fall into the trap of comparing yourself to others and all that stuff. But I don't know. It's fine. I try not to think about it. Just do it. And you just have to live with it because guess what? You can't change it. And I think if you try to fake it, that'd give the game away pretty quick.
So do you think your voice has changed over time?
Well, I hope it's gotten better. I feel like maybe my technique is better. Obviously, I listen to some older things and, pretty cringeworthy. Anybody could say that. But
some of your older
just
work.
Always stuck with it, I mean, I heard a lot when I was younger that, why are you singing? You're not any good at this. You can't be the singer and all this. So that just made me want to do it more. But I never had any praise about it when I was younger,
So you had to do it, so you sing.
Yeah.
Do you sing in the shower?
No.
Do you sing just walking around?
Sometimes. I mean, I go running a lot, which to me is kind of it's a way for me to overcome adversity, because after that accident, they were like, we're not sure if you're going to walk and all these kinds of things. So running is, I know some people say it's not good for you, but it's really good for me, for my mind and my body, to me. So I do like to sing when I run. It helps with my breath, because if you feel like you're about to drop dead at any moment and you're trying to sing.
So
I'm blasting, something in my headphones, I'll sing along. So I feel like it helps me when I perform live. I feel like I got better breath control.
Better breath control.
Yeah.
Your press pictures are very unique. The still shots are from a different angle. The videos are a little fuzzy sometimes, maybe a little dark. What are you trying to accomplish?
Probably hiding something. I don't know.
You're hiding?
I've just always been fascinated with things that are old and worn out. Maybe. Yeah. I like things that visually are a little more moody, I guess. Videos as well. I don't like things to be too clear. Boring to me.
So in life, you don't mind that if it's not clear, just in your own life?
Well, that's something we try to, we being me and whatever, myself, but I try to find clarity in life. I'm getting better at it. But art and life are two different things to me. I mean...
They are?
Well, I mean, I like a little separation there, Everything doesn't have to be real, and music and art. It can be dreamy.
Do you ever find yourself having a hard time separating them? All the time, or is it merge back, like you said?
Trying to get better at writing lyrics that aren't just about what I'm doing that day.
So where do you find inspiration for that?
It might be anything from a conversation I hear at the next table at the Mexican restaurant I'm eating at lunch, or something I read about, family, problems, good or bad.
Just life.
Just life, yeah.
Just Like Always is a great song. Tell us how you came about writing that song.
That was, I was taking my daughter to school one morning and was sitting at a red light there, and there was a lady beside me that looked pretty distraught in her car. And I just put myself in her, whatever she was going through, and just made it up around
And there's
there.
the song.
Yeah.
That's great. So do you think an artist really has a certain ability to relate to humanity and the events and times of people's lives and interpret that in a way?
I would hope so. I think anybody has that ability, don't they? But maybe they're not tapped into that. They're not looking for something to write about or tap into in that way.
But now that's kind of what you're after.
Yes. I feel like my antennas are always poked up looking for something.
Do you take notes?
Yep. I do. I have tons of scribbles and typings. That's the beauty of the little notes on the iPhone. It's like easy for me to keep up with all that.
So that's your
I
catalog.
write it down too.
Yeah, that's your catalog.
So maybe I have tons of just one-line bits on there, and it's kind of my little catalyst for. Sometimes I just need one line to look at, and that will tell me where to go.
And will you write the lyrics first? The music comes both together? What's
different every time? Usually, I may sit down with a guitar and just kind of have a melody, a little riff, a little chord progression, and I'll just let it tell me where it wants to go. I'll record the guitar and just make random noises with my mouth for a melody, and listen back. Oh wow, I said that. Why did I say that? Maybe it was the universe trying to tell me something. I said some word, and that would trigger the next phrase, and it comes around that way. And then I'll look at my notes and find, that's kind of cool. When did I say that? And then I'll just piece it together. So it's very rare that I sit down and go to the coffee shop and sit down with a beret on and a book and write poetry. It's just not my way of doing it.
So it's a process.
Sometimes it's really quick. Sometimes I'll crank one out in 5 minutes and done. A lot of times they'll stew. Usually things about 3 days. I'll just be constantly thinking of that song. Laying in the bathtub, what do I want? Does this need a bridge? Does it not need a bridge? Just thinking of the lyrics, where I want them to go. Rewriting phrases, maybe many times. I might have 5 choruses that I've written. And then sometimes time will tell you which one is the best. You just have to be patient.
How many songs do you think you have that are complete, at least in your mind, that you haven't actually recorded?
Probably about 10 right now.
10.
Yeah.
So you've got a catalog rolling all the time.
I try to constantly, since I've been doing a lot of acoustic shows, I try to have at least one new song for every time I show up and play.
It's a brand new experience at that point.
Yeah, and I try to play it immediately. Like, I don't want to practice it for 6 months, and once it's ready, even if it's not ready, sometimes I'll just go for it and fall on my face, or maybe it'll be great, but I feel like you learn a lot from just playing it in front of people.
Sure. That's where you learn the most.
Yeah.
Do you feel like you push yourself as an artist? And if so, what direction, or does that change over time?
Oh, I beat myself up constantly, yeah. Like a punching bag. Yes. I guess for the new album I just did, my thing was I wanted to record all my vocals live. So no going back and overdubbing, no comping, no editing. And so that was my goal. And that's what I did.
The real test.
Yeah. I figured at this point in my life I ought to be able to do that.
Was it a little frightening to put yourself in that position?
But that's good.
It's good.
Yeah.
So you had an edge.
Yeah.
That you brought about yourself.
Yeah. You need to be a little scared.
So to keep
Scary's good.
Keep that edge.
Yeah.
Keep it edge.
Never happy. Well, I don't know if happy's the word. Never satisfied. You can always do better.
Tell us what happens to you when you write a song.
I know when it's done. There's something, I don't know how to describe it, but if I listen back and I feel, it might be an emotional upwelling in my body, I feel, or maybe I tear up a little bit. I know that it's good. I know it's done. And then I move on. I mean, but it is a little bit of a private hell for me that I might go through with completing one, or,
Sure.
It's I'm kind of consumed by it.
So you're conflicted.
For that.
You want to keep driving, but yet
you
have to know when to put the brakes on.
I typically write in little spurts, like 3 at a time, for some reason.
So you write 3 songs and then stop.
Usually they'll kind of come in little spurts like that.
And what do you do in between? Long for another song?
Mow my yard and pull weeds. Just life, and
We'll talk about your garden in a minute here, but I want to get into that. You mentioned Blind Mellon.
Yeah.
And I know you've toured with him. You want to tell us about that? How you got the gig and what happened, where you went?
Well, my brother was a guitar player in Blind Mellon, and he went to law school a few years ago, and his schedule, they started touring again, and his schedule really wouldn't allow for some of the shows, and they just asked if I would fill in for him. So it's like, sure. So I learned, the first show was in Japan, and I learned all his parts. I had like a week to learn all of the songs and the solos, and I just figured it out and went over there and did it. Just really not much choice in the matter. We did one rehearsal.
One rehearsal?
Yeah, in Japan. So I just showed up, we did the rehearsal and played the show.
Was that a little nerve-wracking?
Oh, yeah. So then I went and did South America with him shortly after that. And
so they asked you back?
There were no rehearsals for that. At that point, I've got it, Then I did a Canadian tour with him last summer.
So you enjoyed that, I take it.
That was all great. Yeah. Fun. Big shows. His guitar style and mine are kind of similar. He's a little more wanky than I am.
Wanky?
You know,
Is that a technical?
A little noodly.
Oh, okay. Through the years you've been doing this as a producer and artist, just in general, what have you observed about the creative process and how it works?
Elaborate.
Creativity comes from somewhere. Some people seem to have more of it than others, or maybe we all have it. Others have ability to express it. What do you, just in working with artists, do they have to slam down a six-pack to become creative? Do they have to run up and down the street?
I think you just have to work at it. I mean, I don't know. The six-pack thing, yeah, I've seen that go both ways. Usually, and I've been guilty of that myself, usually that's not the best way to go, especially in the studio. I think it's a muscle you just got to work out. I mean...
So it's just work it. And the creativity, I mean, you if you're not creative...
You got to throw some duds out there, you know. You can't be scared to be bad. I think that's one thing. You have to just go for it. You're going to suck sometimes.
Right.
That's okay.
So be ready.
You're going to write some crappy songs and some stupid lyrics, and you have to weed through those. You've
been in the music business for a while as a producer, artist. Have you had to change the way you work with artists now that you're a little bit older? You have to work with a younger artist in a different way, or in my case, an older artist. Is there something that's happened over your experiences that you've kind of developed, work with different types of people? Because I know you work with a lot of different types of people.
I think you just have to be a shrink. You just got to adapt to the situation.
Dr. Stevens. Stevens.
I never stop learning. You constantly gain experience. I always find something to latch onto with whatever I'm working on, something I like. Even if it's not a record I might sit around and listen to, I'm still going to find something about it that I can latch onto, and somewhere it takes me, and just try to make it great. I mean, whatever you do.
You are a wonderful producer, and I mean that from my own experience, that you're very patient, you're very creative, and you really lead the artist down a path that they might not have gone down, and yet you seem to be able to pull that out of them. How did you learn how to do that? Because
I spent so much time working on my own music, showed me the way for that. That's a tough one. I don't know.
You're really good at it.
I just do it. It's hard for me to, like, I never sit and think about why I do these things, you know.
You're always polite. You always say, one more take, please.
So you want to keep people's spirits up the best you can, you know. It's hard. It's hard making records. It's nerve-wracking. I mean, everybody's you can be on edge with it, you know. But
you mentioned a minute ago, or I mentioned a minute ago, an incident involving a Prince album when you were a boy. Can you tell us about that?
Well, we weren't really allowed to listen to Prince in my childhood home. We started listening to heavy metal records, and that was frowned upon as well because, you know, you didn't want the devil infiltrating you, infiltrating the house. We had 1999, the cassette in there, and my dad had found out that the tape was there, and it had some questionable language on it, supposedly, profanity. Subject matter that wasn't made for young minds like ours. But so it was like 6 o'clock in the morning, and I hear him beating on a cast iron skillet, just yelling at everybody to come downstairs. And we go down there, and there's the chopping block there in the kitchen, and he's got the Prince tape laid out on the chopping block, and he's just like, this is what I think about having this filth in my house. He picks up a hammer and just starts beating the Prince tape into oblivion, into a million pieces. So that was that. So then I just, couldn't wait to go buy the tape again at Walmart and just hide it a little better this time.
It's a great story.
Yeah.
You have a garden right outside of the studio.
Well, not right now, but
in past.
I hope to make one happen.
And you have grown some of the best tomatoes I've ever had.
Well, that's a compliment.
I have to ask you, when the moon's out, do you go sing to those tomatoes? They're so good.
Those tomatoes you had, I did absolutely. Here's the thing I learned about that. Don't do anything to them. No fertilizer, no compost. I don't know how that happened.
Free tomatoes.
Yeah.
They're really great. I want to hear a song off your new album. Which song would you pick?
I I do Maybe I Love You, I guess. You seem to like that one, so.
Okay, well, we'll take us out on that one.
Okay.
Thanks, JM.
Cool. Cheers.
Chilling on the inside, trying to comprehend how you got me reeling. It's never ever gonna end. Like the rolling thunder coming from the west, my heart is pounding clear out of my chest. Maybe I love you. Maybe I love you. I try to forget, ain't had no luck yet. Can't stop thinking of you. Feel my blood boiling up into the red. Lost in your eyes when nothing needs to be said. Strumming like a loser, wandering the street. Shadow of a butterfly dancing at my feet. Maybe I love you. Maybe I love you. I try to forget, ain't had no luck yet. Can't stop thinking of you. Wasn't that long ago? You were so far away. I was just a lonely boy, lost for the words to say, thinking there's got to be a better way. Voices in my head are calling to me loud. Flames that we light are making devil proud. Can't understand it, but it just feels so right. Try to upend it, but it comes back every time. Maybe I love you. Maybe I love you. I try to forget, ain't had no luck yet. Can't stop thinking of you. Maybe I love you. Oh, maybe I love you.
You've been listening to Maybe I Love You by J.M. Stevens from his brand new solo album entitled Invisible Lines. This is Andrew Clendenin with the World of Texas Music on the web at WTXM.org. Come visit us there. We'll respond to emails from you. We'd like your comments. Thanks for listening.